Alrighty, boys, I was asked for a dwarf guide, and I will give you a dwarf guide. I have lost my sanity trying to get a gnome guide or a dwarf guide going all day long, and I finally got one decent game with dwarves. So we are going to go over the dwarves real quick. You know the drill. We're going to go in, we're going to hit the important cards, and we're going to get right into the run. So there is one important card that you need before you even start playing dwarves. Before you even put another dwarf on your board, there is one card you need to actually guarantee that you can get a build running with dwarves. That's Chief Leaf. We've heard it said many times in my clan Discord. How do you play dwarves? And the answer every time is don't play dwarves unless you see a leaf. Then play dwarves. This card is the only thing that prevents you from either playing dwarves or not playing dwarves. At the end of his turn, he'll transfer his brews to different dwarf allies, then give himself and a dwarf in your hand 2 brews for each cheers ability on the board or in your hand. He is your brew generator. He is the way you get as many brews as possible. Second most important card, in my opinion, is Generational Wealth. He's your brew scaler. He's what's going to get your brews bigger and bigger and bigger. End turn, your brews give an extra 3/3 this game. Gold, it's 6/6. You will want him on your board. Now, the third most important card is actually Brewmaster Borin. When you sell a dwarf, transfer all of its brews to a random ally and give it 1 additional brew. This is what's going to bounce your brews around onto your different allies. For early game, one of the also most important cards is Feastmaster Braum. He's going to be the first dwarf that you want to leave in your hand to collect those brews that Chief Leaf throws to a dwarf in your hand. He will then give those stats to all your dwarfs on the actual board. So the idea is Leaf on the board, Brawn in hand, Wealth on the board to buff your brews, Brewmaster Borin to sell units and then give those brews that were on the units to other units. Those are your key 4. After that, we need to take a quick look at Scab, as he is the guy that's going to guarantee barriers. You want him later in the game in your hand just to guarantee that you get barriers on your units. And your 2 last cards that are the important cards will be Sober Ori. He can be your main attacker if you can get 100 brews on him. Once you get 100 brews on him, he's going to level up all the way to Obliterated Ori. Now this guy is strong. If you get those 100 brews on him, he can gain full keywords and he can have infinite barriers and he can sweep teams. He's probably what I should have gone for in my last run. Every time he attacks, he gains 14/14. Or he cheers, he gains 14/14 until next turn. And attacks, he gains 10 brews and a keyword permanently. He will give himself so many stats and so many keywords on the attacks. And the other route for a attacker would be Dwemer Champion. When he attacks, he takes all the brews off of the 2 units next to him if he's in the middle, and he puts them on himself and then gives himself the same amount. So say you have 50 brews on a Generational Wealth, you have 50 brews on a Sober Ori. He's going to steal them both, the champ will. He will get 100 brews from them, and then he will give himself another 100 brews. So you can see why he could be a good attacker and Sober Ori is the good attacker. Now I need to explain a couple other things, and it will be a little bit difficult to explain, but I want you guys to actually listen to this intro. This will be a longer one because there are a few really important things you need to know about how brews operate. And I may try to type it out or do something to give you guys some sort of on-screen visual or you just have to wait till the run till you see it happening. I think I talk about it a little bit in the run, but when you each time you level up the brews, like each time you make your brews stronger with things like wealth or with things like Aleheart, the brews that you currently have on your units are not gaining those stats. So the reason that is important is because we need to be bouncing our brews around. We need to be taking them off units and putting them on other ones, because the brews that you take off then become as strong as whatever your like strongest brew is at the time. So for example, say you put a regular 1/1 brew onto generational wealth, right? He's only going to be at 8/8. Then say the next turn later, your brew is now a 4/4 brew. He's still going to be at 8/8 with one brew. But if you take that brew off of him and put it on something else, that unit then gains 4/4. So you need to be buffing your brews and then taking them and putting them on other units to guarantee that you're actually seeing those stat changes. And sometimes, if you manage to get your brews strong enough, the stats that you receive from Feastmaster Bronn will actually get sucked away out of the units, because the brews that they're ripping off of your units are actually stronger than the stats that they gained from Bronn. So sometimes if you play a brew transfer and you see your unit go down to like 0/1 and you're like, well, what the heck? I gave him permanent stats with Bronn. That just means that your brews are so strong that they outweighed the permanent stats and that it's time to get rid of Bronn because he serves no purpose any longer. And the last important thing, which I did explain in the video, you always want to keep your generational wealth in a position ahead of your Chief Leaf. You want your end turn from wealth to trigger first before your leaf throws out the brews. You want those extra 3/3 stats on your brews that the leaf then throws out. If leaf throws out the brews first, he's going to be putting out weaker brews than what you could have. And you'll see I actually did make that mistake at the very end of my video. I'm sorry this intro was so long, but it's really, really important that I explain this thoroughly, because people will definitely miss like some insane brews and scaling that they could be getting if they make one or two mistakes, if they don't transfer enough, if they're in the wrong position. And I really just want to explain it thoroughly so people can understand when they see the video why things are happening the way they are. And really, really quickly, I'm just going to run over some couple other things. Drunken Explorer, he takes brews off of units, puts them onto other ones. He's the one that's going to bounce your brews around, aside from selling units with Brewmaster Boren. Honorable mention, Underhill Accountant. He will give you 3 keywords at random when he gets a brew. Aleheart is early game brews, just giving your brews extra 3/3. And that's pretty much it. Most of, if not all of, the important cards are at tier 5 and 4. So really, you don't play Dwarves until you get to tier 5 and 4 and you see a leaf. With that said, I'm sorry this took so long. This intro was very, very long. I'm also doing this with no script, so I do apologize if I missed anything. But I think I did a pretty good job of explaining, and I also think I do a moderately decent job explaining in the run. It may even actually get a little bit redundant. But anyways, I will shut my mouth now, and you guys can enjoy the run. Thank you. Peace. All right, time for another attempted dwarf run. I've been trying to get this guide to you guys for a while, like all day pretty much, aside from doing all of our war attacks earlier today, which, by the way, we should have recorded because everybody that I helped got insane dwarf runs on Bearman. But I'm going to try to crutch Admiral Arabella at this point. Honestly, you shouldn't do this because the main goal for dwarves is to not play them until you see a leaf, at shop 5, because they suck early game. They're absolutely abysmal. I struggling so much. I need to like use something that's gonna help me see more of them. And I just haven't seen a leaf early enough. Like every single time, I just don't see a leaf. I'm tempted to take this. That way I can just get more dwarves on the board after I see one. It sucks that we're losing this. Wild that we actually lost that with a buffed up, whatever this dude's name is. Honest fellow. Not the dwarf we want to see, but there, that's better. That at least might get us some stats, because we're probably going to lose this. Oh my. I almost swore. And this is just how it's going for me every single time. So at this point, we need to play both of these. And you shouldn't do this, by the way. This is not the right way to play dwarves. Maybe there is some merit for playing Arabella, at least, because you can just see so many early game ale hearts. I think I can win. I need to tier up. I really do. This is actually great. Probably should have taken the tier 1 there. Depending on what we get here. This is insane for elves. I want to get an alpha guide for you guys soon, but they're difficult to build as well. But honestly, I'm just going to take her and sell her just for the stats. I'm tempted to just continue freezing ale forges. I'm honestly shocked that I got in, and I got in that high, but we're, like I said, we're on tier 3 at the start of heart phase, which is not good. This actually, no, it's not worth it, because I'm not going to have that many stats. If I already had a leaf somehow, maybe that would be useful. I'm shocked that we actually won that as well. So hopefully we can see a leaf now after we tier up and we take our hammer. This is a gamble, and I'm honestly getting sick of gambling. But if it goes well, it'd be insane. But this is obviously the right choice to almost guarantee a leaf. But this could give me a leaf and a brawn. But it could also give me 3 elves and a something stupid. Oh man. Do I want to play the memes? Do I want to meme? I mean, we did win our first round, so we are kind of safe to go for Ragnarok. But we also are playing what's her nuts here, so we probably will see a tier 5 or a screw it. I gamble. You guys know how I play. I gamble. And it went. There's a modicum of decency with this. Show me a leaf. That's fine. Those are 3 cards we need. And honestly, the most important thing right now out of all of these 3 is this. So if Ori can attack, he's going to get a good amount of scaling. Not enough, but we knew we were losing that round anyways. We didn't have a leaf. So now we need to see the leaf. We do need to take both of these. Ah, shit! My relic gave me... What are the odds, though, that it gave me that 1 tier 4 unit that I need on dwarves? That's crazy. Well, there's our leaf. Can I sell 3 units here? I can. What the... Oh, they went to this piece of shit. I should have sold him first. Oops. Well, now I need to keep him, because I don't want to lose. Screw it. We have all the scaling we need. We have every single piece now. And now I can actually start explaining to you guys how to play them. So, and at this point, I don't even care if I win. I've gotten every piece I need on the board, and that's enough to show you guys how to play them. I could care less if I win or lose at this point. So now I will explain how this is working. You need Leaf. At the end of his turn, he transfers his brews off of him to all your different dwarf allies. And then he gives himself and one of your dwarves in your hand 2 brews for every cheers ability that's on the board or in your hand. Now, I don't believe he counts his own cheers ability. So he's going to get 2, 4, 6, 8 brews at the end of each turn, just from what we have on the board right now and in our hand. And he's going to throw those 8 brews onto himself and then 8 brews onto the unit in hand. Early game, that unit in hand needs to be Feastmaster Bronn. He gives all his dwarf allies 6/6 permanently and improves this by 1 up to 5/5. So he gets 8 brews. That's 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, 9/9, 10/10, and so on, all the way up to 11/11 for each brew he's given to everybody on the board. And you want generational wealth because at the end turn, your brews give an extra 3/3. And there are 2 ways to go about playing dwarves beyond these essential units, which is also Brewmaster Born is another essential unit. When you sell a dwarf, transfer its brews to a random ally and give it 1 additional brew. These 4 are necessary to play dwarves. You can go the Ori route, which is try to get Ori maxed out from sober all the way to obliterated, which you need to get 100 brews on him to do. Or you can go the other route. This is a great card to get as well for in hand later. The other route, which we can show now, is Dwemer Champion. When he attacks, he'll take the brews off of the units that are next to him. I'm tempted to get more cheers abilities, but for now, I think we're okay. We're not going to freeze that. We don't really need another Dwemer Champ right now. So hopefully, Leaf throws a couple brews here to give us some barriers. And the rest will obviously go here. Now we should be able to stat up at least a little bit. Now I did get this a little late in this lobby, so there's a good chance I just lose, like I said. But we have the main meat and potatoes on the board now. Now other ways to improve this would be to give Ori keywords or your Dwemer Champ keywords. Looking for transfer brews to bounce your brews around to different units, because something that I need to explain as well is at a certain point, Feastmaster Bronn's, the stats he gives will become meaningless because you'll be getting, your brews will be so big that they will overtake the amount of stats that Bronn gives. You'll have more brews on the board than stats from Bronn. And at that point, you can get rid of Bronn and start keeping the barrier guy in your hand instead. And we are also looking for brew transfers. I'm honestly selling the champion right now to just get as many generational wealths on the board as I can to make my brews stronger. And then we will take this guy and hold him in our hand. Now, we could probably lose this. We would still like to land the stats onto Bronn, but if we get barriers instead from our Leaf, we'll be okay. And like I said, Leaf will gain more brews based on how many cheers abilities you have. So now he's gaining 12 because I have 6 cheers abilities on board and in hand. And here you can see someone has a better build than I do. So we're going to need to land these barriers at some point, probably soon. We're also going to need to get some brew transfers. Probably need to get rid of the generational. Never mind. We don't need to get rid of them. Now we'll see. There's another leaf. We honestly just need more brews. That's great. Now that Leaf is golden, he will throw all those brews on 2 units in your hand. So I can now guarantee that I get both the barriers and the stats from Braun. But at some point, we need to get this Braun down onto the board and sell him because he's holding 28 brews right now. He's actually our strongest unit. And so at this point, you can tell that the brews have outscaled the stats he gives. And before I start this, I'll take a quick intermission to restart my capture. I will be right back. And we're back. Now, before I start this next battle, I did want to bring something up that I was thinking about while waiting for the recording to process. I just want to point out that you may be thinking, wow, you need a lot of pieces to get dwarves to be good. And while that is correct, I wanted to point out that dwarves are one of the safest choices if you get the right cards early enough. And what I mean by that is they can't be messed up by enemies. Enemies can't mess up your scaling or the way your build goes because everything that scales happens during your turn phase. The only thing that doesn't happen during your turn phase is Ori getting like 1 or 2 extra brews from his attack. But when you compare it to things like the gnomes, the orcs getting attacks to boost themselves, Nords having to attack while things are frostbitten, pirates getting stats in battle because of plunder abilities. If your backline pirate mermaid gets sniped, you're not getting your plunder ability, and you can't scale during that fight. If your tier 5 Nord gets sniped, the one that buffs off of frostbites, then you're not getting stats that battle. If your tier 5 gnome gets sniped, like there are a lot of things that can mess up your runs on different factions, but if you can get the dwarfs early and get Chief Leaf early, they are one of the safer and most even factions stats wise. You don't really get messed up during battle. So I just wanted to point that out, just because they are more friendly for new-ish players, because most of it's RNG on whether or not you get a leaf. And you don't have to worry about your positioning too much, you know? The only important positioning is Ori first to attack, and then your generational wealths need to be in front of your chief leaf, not directly in front of, but in the positioning by like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your wealths need to be in front because you want their end turn ability to trigger before Leaf's ability triggers. That way the brews get bigger before he throws them out. Anyways, sorry about the yapping there. We'll continue. Watch me lose this next battle anyways. That'd be hilarious. But I think I've said all I need to say regarding the dwarves. I've shown how they're done. I've gotten a moderately half decent build going here. If I lose, I lose. Whatever. Elves are somewhat good. I've been struggling to get a build like this going. You need a lot of moving parts as well. But against dwarves, when you have full barriers, your dwarves are probably going to win. Now, I don't plan on getting a gold Ori, so I'm not going to buy the Ori. Now we're really desperate to find brew transfers to bounce our brews around, because we really don't have that many on the board. It is time to get rid of Feastmaster, though. He's served his purpose. We could take another Ori and hold him in hand. I'm honestly going to take I don't want to screw up my barrier guy and not get barrier. So we'll sell this. We'll get rid of Brawn to get these 30 brews somewhere else. That's not where we wanted them, but hopefully we can transfer them off later. And we will put the keyword guy down. Hopefully he gets a couple brews. Now the reason I'm doing this is to get some more brews onto our other Ori in hopes that I can triple him later and get all those brews together. Now someone did bring up that it chooses the one that has the most brews when you triple him, as for his leveling up. So I will check that out if I can triple him and see how many brews each one has before I do. But at this point, he only has 15. Leaf is about to throw what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 onto him. So he's probably going to outscale our Ori on board unless we get some brew transfers. So we honestly just hope for maybe a couple decent keywords. Taunt on Leaf is actually really good. Sucks we didn't get multi-strike on Ori. But all barriers, we might run into that other dwarf build. His Ori is a little weaker. I don't think he sold his Feastmaster like I did. So I might be able to outdamage him with mine. Yes. We got very lucky there. We may actually be able to finish this one out for you guys. I would like to use this at some point. He is very nice to use. So we'll get rid of keywords. We don't need that. That would be a waste of coins. Dwemer Champ could be good too. Actually could be very good, especially since I don't have the brews on Ori. So, how many turns do I have left? 3 if I win. I don't know. We'll see. We might take him. But another important thing you can do is playing your Brewmaster Borin down and getting rid of the old one that has brews on it to get these brews to somebody else. Yeah, I think we're going to play Champ now. Specifically because I have so many brews on this generational wealth and I haven't seen a way to transfer them off yet. So now we're going to put the Dwemer Champ in the middle. And for those of you that don't know, the Dwemer Champion, when he attacks, he takes all the brews off of adjacent units and puts them on himself, and then gives himself the same amount of brews that he stole. Now when he's golden, he gives double the amount. So right now when he attacks, he's going to be taking 57 and 19, which, quick math, that's 76 brews, and then double them. So he's going to be putting 140 brews on himself. We hope, we're praying that we land this. I really do want to play this safe. I want to win this one for you guys. So we are going to sell the 50. Should we sell the 57 to see if we can land them on? I don't want them to land on Champion. We're going to sell the 10. We didn't want them to go there, but that's okay. I really want to guarantee that I get my barriers off of the 2 set slots of brews that Leaf throws, and I'm now realizing that this is completely useless because of my hero, and it was just a waste of money to buy. Actual idiot, because I always get my first 2 refreshes, and he's the next refresh, so that was just a waste. So yeah, that was stupid of me, but whatever. It is still technically another Cheers ability on the board, so it is more brews for Leaf, though we did lose 1 by putting the Champion down. Hopefully we can just outstat all these guys. We definitely should be able to now that we have Dwemer Champ on the board. As you can see, he's now up to 13,000 health. So these guys can try to range snipe me all they want. They're just not going to whittle me down. At this point, the only thing that can hurt us is a scam build like a Deadly Joke. So yeah, now we're really looking good. We finally see a brew transfer, which is great. This is another one of the major pieces you want late game. He's going to transfer all the brews off of an ally and give the allies that he gives the brews to 4 additional. So depending on the number of allies that the brews hit, he could be putting out anywhere between 4 brews extra or 4 times 6, so 24 brews extra. He gave out 5, or no, it would be 4 times 5 because he can't give brews to the unit he just stole brews from. So yeah, that's an additional 20 brews I just got on the board from Drunken Explorer. Another Dwemer Tramp could be cool. At this point, we might do that because Generational Wealth has next to no brews on him. A double Dwemer Champ is a very, very cool thing to try, and we've seen it done a lot in the past with Bearmond. So we will try that out. And eventually, we'll just sell the Generational Wealth, get the other Ori down, probably sell him because I don't think we're going to get. I mean, he needs 38 more brews. It is doable, but pretty unlikely. And I mean, I only have 2 fights left. He's not even going to get any keywords. So, oh, and I also put the wealth in the wrong spot. That's my bad. So I just lost a 6/6 on all those brews, which really sucks. But now I will slow this down for you guys as well, so you can see how this works. So Ori's gonna attack first. Then the wealth or the champ is gonna steal all the brews. Attack. If this champ survives, which he doesn't, he could have stolen another 195 brews and added more brews to it. Oh no. And that is a loss. I actually probably lost because I put the second Dwemer champ down. However, you saw how the build is played. You definitely failed at the end there, but I'm calling this one a win for my sanity, honestly. So yeah, GG's. Hope you guys learned how to play dwarves finally, and yeah, have a good one. Peace.